Okay, everybody. Well, we have some less than fortunate news. I know that last week we were making jokes and having fun with, Jason going into surgery, but unfortunately he's fine and everything's okay, and we're not going to be able to release that footage yet. So, I know a lot of you are probably disappointed, but he's okay and nothing went wrong.
It's okay.
And he's recovering.
He's gonna make it.
So, but yeah, no, he's good. He is. His voice is fine. Everything's good. Everything worked out. So that, yeah. But yeah, so we actually had some really exciting news come out this last week.
Yeah.
We got a couple pieces, and right before this dropped, we got the big OP announcement for 2023, which is super exciting as well. So stick around. We're going to delve into all of that and our thoughts on this week's episode. So do you want to open up with the OP announcement, or do you want to go into the set announcement?
Probably the set announcement.
Cool. What do you think? We were close. It's like they wanted to name the set Outcasts, but then they're like, shit. Mm-hmm. I like to think that we ruined it. Like that was like their plan, and they're like, God damn it, we can't associate at all with them.
They're like, well, let's get close to it, but not fully settle into it. It's like the whole branding. You have to be careful about who you totally let in. Like, it's okay that people wear Nike,
right?
But Nike doesn't sponsor Kyrie because he is a flat earther. So they're like, maybe it's fine if he wants to wear them, but maybe let's not give him stuff for free and make commercials with him. It's the same kind of thing, I think.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't blame him.
But I don't blame him. That's okay. So, but what are your thoughts? Like, I've seen lots of people talking about like just so the pits, the pits are under metrics / like adjacent, but metrics is not surrounded by the pits. Just so we're clear, right, in the lore.
Yeah, it's like underneath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Just want to clarify that because I've seen that a couple people say stuff like that, and I was like, I wonder if it's like verbiage or something used in one of the stories that like maybe people could have misread or like read it that way or something. But I was like, one, I hope that it's not the case. I don't think it is, but like, would metrics allow themselves to be surrounded by the pits? I feel like they'd be like,
I don't think so.
Fuck no.
I guess my thinking is always that it's literally just Piltover and Zon, right? It's 100% just like theoretically it's just set up like exactly how Piltover and Zon are in Arcane.
But I thought that the pits were like literally like in the old city, like literally underneath metrics. Or is that?
I mean,
maybe it's not. Yeah. Maybe that's just.
I'm not exactly sure how it is. Yeah, I'm not sure. My brain just like always perceives it as
Piltover and Zon. Yeah,
Piltover and Zon, but that's just because I have a visible representation of what my brain wants it to be, and based on everything I've seen in pictures of the pits and all of the characters from the pits, it just seems to relate very. It's a nice lateral movement to just Zon and how you see all those characters and it's like this seedy underbelly of metrics basically. So in my head, it's a perfect relation. I think looking at the picture too, it definitely kind of fits that mindset. Although there were a couple interesting things that stuck out to me, and I'm curious what you think about it. So first off is in the art for the Outsiders, the first thing they released, where it's
with the lady, like the
fire shooting, whatever that is, right? I think the most interesting thing that came up there wasn't the picture, because it kind of just looks like someone that would be in the pits. That made sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was the verbiage that they used when they talk about delving into the pits, and they used the words backstabbing, and most importantly, they said skullduggery,
Mm-hmm.
which I understand that that's a word you can use other places, but it just screams pirate to me.
It does, but the thing, like, I don't know, man. Skullduggery is definitely associated with pirates, and that would be super cool. I don't know how I feel about them incorporating it. I mean, I guess, like, if they're going to incorporate pirates into this world, it would be cool if it was, like, sky ships or something. But then also, like, how is that not more prevalent if they have sky ships, like, around the rest of Wraith? There's just lots of, like, I don't know, maybe it's like Mistborn era 2, where it's like just discovered, like now coming up with airships, like it's like a new thing, you know.
I think the hardest thing in Wraith is that we are so early in the development of a lot of the lore and the understanding of how things work that it's strange to think, I guess, that Metrix, I mean, it's strange to think that Metrix has giant mechs and Solana is still riding horses. But I guess in my head, that's a hard connection. But then I try to think about world history where people with guns went to like feudal Japan, where they were wearing samurai suits and had swords, and they were riding in horses and shooting people. You're like, okay. I guess gunpowder did exist. Like there
was a transition period, right?
Yeah, where not the whole world doesn't move together, right?
Right. And then you've also got like, well, yeah, I mean, because you've got roller coasters in Aria, right? And everyone loved that. So like that was like that's like a super cool thing in this world is how like Aria, this mystical, magical, like fantasy setting with roller coasters and fucking lights and big tops and shit. But you know,
it's I think overall in the world it's kind of falls into that fantasy thing where my brain wants to logic out certain pieces. Like I want A, B, and C to all make sense, but sometimes you have to just accept that like 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in fantasy worlds. Sometimes things are just going to be, you're all of a sudden going to get a sky pirate. It's just going to happen.
Which is cool. I was just, that's actually leads right into my point, was I was going to say that if this world as it is right now just took logical steps going forward and that was it, I think I'd be a little disappointed. They've done some cool stuff with it, like out of the blue, right? Like they've thrown some curveballs at us, which I really like. I really appreciate that as like a tenet of how LSS releases things. It seems to be a part of their status quo is to not truly really have a status quo. Like it's part that's, you know, like they're constantly like giving us 3 heroes instead of 4, giving us a adult hero in a supplemental set. Like they're changing every set. It feels like we have our expectations based on previous sets, and then those are just not, they're just different. And it's like, oh, this is cool. It's really exciting. I've said it before. That's one of the things that I think is really exciting. And I think that lore wise, I hadn't thought about the pirate thing, but that would be super cool if they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, sky pirates with airships, you know, like fuck yeah, let's do that. That sounds awesome.
You definitely have to accept that it's not going to make sense. It's not going to take logical steps. They're going to subvert expectations.
Well, they'll explain it with so far everything in the world has been like explained through.
Right. It makes sense. It just at the same time, sometimes when you first see it, you go, huh, that's interesting. It kind of gives you have pause for a second, but they've always done a good job of it. And I think they've gotten better, even because originally the lore was good, but it would be like one lore article, here's your set, and then every now and then something would just kind of randomly come out. And it feels like ever since they moved to, like, one of the things that I'm impressed with LSS has really, I think, helped to develop the game, and you get more buy-in from different areas, is they've taken, again, steps that other companies don't. We kind of know from, you know, maybe people that we've heard things from, that at Bandai, Dragon Ball Super is effectively designed by 2 people who do it on a spreadsheet. And in spite of the fact that the game grew a bunch, they never expanded the team. They never changed anything. They just kind of went, let's just ride this money train for all we can. That's kind of the approach they've taken. And that's what most companies do, is until you are absolutely forced to change how your company functions to make money, until you start to see kind of a dip in profits, there's no reason to change it. As long as they're like steadily climbing, they don't even have to be to the mooning, right? Just a slow, steady climb or nice, even income, always making money is good for a company. But LSS has taken steps that other companies haven't, like hiring people on to write or making part-time employees or whatever who can write lore, having someone like was it Sam Yang, I think, is on like works for them as an artist full time. And it's things like that that to me show that they're committed to all of these different facets. This, not just the game itself, but the storytelling and the narrative of the World of Wraith is important. And I'm confident that with that much commitment to it, they're not just going to go, oh, by the way, Sky Pirates, to your point, they're going to say, hold on, we're going to give you a whole bunch of background why this makes sense. But it's going to happen. So I don't know.
Yeah, like you said, it's been a progression, right? Because I think that really the first that we saw like tricklings of lore was when Crucible came out. We saw like a little, like a half page on Benji and like whatever. And then with Monarch, when that came out, we saw like the articles with pre-release or with like the preview season and everything about like Bolton and Prism and all Leviathan, like all that stuff we got to see and like read about these characters, and we're like, oh cool, this is, and that was almost like how the characters were spoiled, right? Like we found out about Chain when he came through the portal, which is super cool, like the way that they handled that. And then I think we're just seeing more and then building off of it and realizing that it's a really cool aspect of their releases is to include all this stuff, which is sick. So I'm here for it.
I'm excited to see in this set. I think again, one of the cool things about Fab has definitely been that you build your expectations on a set typically with some predetermined information. Every game that we've ever played and most games that you see, you can build a spreadsheet before the set even releases and say there will be X number of this color, this color, this color, this color, and we'll get so many leaders or heroes or whatever in this color and that color and this color. And so much of that can be just pre-built once you have the number of cards. And LSS has always said like, hey, good luck. So good luck trying to sort that out. And people do it very quickly. They start to put the numbers together and order things and give you a physical structure where you can figure it out. But you're not doing any of that beforehand. So it gives us the opportunity to do some speculating before the set comes, not even just about what's the theme of the set, or it's like, okay, how many heroes are we going to get? Are we going to get something new? Are they going to show us something new? So I guess that's the only real question I have for you, and I'd be interested in your thoughts is, is 3 the new standard? Are we returning to the 4-hero set? And is there a surprise, and what do you think the surprise would be if there's some special additional thing?
Okay, so do we ever discuss or dig into like the mechanologist being a class versus being
So I'm 99% sure that on the website,
they did say something.
Classes,
I don't
it's there.
Okay.
I'll go look for it while you talk about it.
Cool. Well, I can't remember what actually came of that. I want to say that I recall there being like 4 or 5 months ago, like some sort of like they said something, or with like one of the previous sets or something came out. I don't remember what it was, but I was wondering if I could see them. Like the thing, like it's so hard. They make it so hard to speculate, even because like, ready, this is something off the cuff that I think is completely feasible that they could realistically do. That I have no idea how they'd make it work, but like they could do the next 2 sets. This next set is set in the pits, and then the following set is set in metrics, and 1 character for each set. And there's just 4 different distinct like builds, same character, same whatever, but there's just like 4 sub classes or something, right? And then you've got like metrics versus pits, like the leader of the pits versus what, maybe they probably don't even do leader because they've done leaders, and who wants to do that twice? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so much wild shit that they could do. It's like, here's the pit set, here's the metric set, you're gonna have a character in each, and when you draft for that, it's gonna be the same character, but there's just going to be like 4 really distinct things within the card pool that I don't know. I have no idea. But like I literally just made that up, and it's something that they could realistically do. Like so what the fuck are we supposed to speculate? Like I'm wondering if they're going to have like assassin stuff. Do they do that? Because it's kind of like, do they have an assassin in the set so that having cards for assassin in the set for draft is realistic? Can they not do that because assassin is unbalanced in a draft format? Do they just release this assassin and that's it until the next supplemental set? Are assassins going to be like weeding their way through the world now, and like the leader of metrics is going to maybe try to get assassinated in the next supplemental? Like there's so much shit. It's so fucking like, who knows?
I would actually, I think so. One thing that you hit on the head there that I love, this idea of everybody kind of seems obsessed with the idea of, well, we need more assassin cards right now.
Mm-hmm.
But they love theme, they love narrative and storytelling in the set, not just like
a story released with it, but like the set itself tells a story. Like this supplemental set told a story of like the assassin and the emperor. Like that was cool.
So you made set is about dynasty and this gigantic emperor who is bigger than anything, and he ruled Volkor, and then you release the assassin alongside him to kill the emperor. And I think to your point, I would love it, and it would be, in my opinion, far cooler if assassin was stealthily in sets as opposed to a focal point of like a class that was released in a set. It was always released, not even in supplemental. Why not just have some cards that are tokens or something, or I don't even know how you do it, but generic cards that help assassin. I don't know, but they'll find a way. Exactly that. Why not? Why not let assassin kind of just weave its way into the storytelling?
Every 4 boxes or like 1 and 2 boxes has like an assassin pack. Fucking why not?
Who knows? Exactly. They can do whatever they want. And I just think stuff like that is the kind of thing that they would do because it presents storytelling even through the product release, which they seem to love.
They seem to love, yeah.
Yeah. And they're kind of married to. My big thing is, one of the probably the most interesting thing I read was that in an interview, James White said that this set is a return to melee combat, like Welcome to Wraith. He harkened back the glory days, Welcome to Wraith days, where it wasn't about trying to figure out arcades. Because have we had a set where you haven't had to deal with some sort of weird mechanical thing in a draft set? We've had Arcane since Arcane Rising, right? In every sealed set. So there's always been some weird toggle to balance through all of that, which makes for a weird draft experience. But what makes a lot of people look back on Welcome to Wraith with so much appreciation is that it felt like we're in combat with one another, and you never really got blown out by anything that you couldn't have prepared for.
Right.
And honestly, to one person's point, we've hit that point in the game where they're going to have to start figuring out ways to re-release certain cards that are staples to the game that are no longer in print. Last set was Scar for a Scar. This set would be, you could do something like Sink Below, because a generic non-foil unlimited Sink Below is like $350 now, believe it or not.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
It's because it's not printed anymore. It's hard to get your hands on. It's not the easiest. So you've hit that point where, well, that would be cool, because if you go back to melee combat, you need defense reactions to counter, zoomed attack reactions that you're going to give melee combat. So you need defense reactions. Hey, what a great time. Sink Below. You can put different art on it if you want. You could just leave it and do the non-foil treatment again.
Right. And you could also, I mean, like they already did it. They did it with, or they showed that they're willing to do it with, oh my God, what's the mechanologist big Voltron?
Hyperdriver?
What? Hyperdriver.
Hyperdriver, yeah.
How they went back and they took this card and they gave it a full cycle. It's like, do it with Sink Below. There you go. Yeah. That's the defense reaction that comes with this set. Yep. And in this melee set or whatever, here's your full series of them.
And the other thing that James White mentioned was that this set has he talked about the potential of this set maybe releasing a hero as a replacement hero for the classes that are now missing.
Already.
So Shadow Runeblade, Light Illusionist, finally like getting their replacements, which is obviously important.
Yep. I mean, I know he said 2023, but I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting the first set. So that's cool.
I don't think he guaranteed it. I think he mentioned that nothing was stopping them. A lot of people speculated about how they would release that stuff. Is the big thing. They talked about how do they release these, and I was definitely a proponent for the idea of doing it as something you would give away at armories because it would draw a crowd to have just the generic ones. But then at the same time, you kind of run into the issue where you can't do it as a prizing because there's not going to be enough of them, and you can't do it as just if you just give it to people, are people going to pay for it, or is it just a, I don't know. That's kind of a weird thing, but at the same time,
I mean, honestly, I think you would handle it like well, probably different than like the
normal. You'd have to do something else with it, right?
Well, I'm trying to think. The Briar that had to be errated.
Brighter, yeah. But like they just gave that one.
That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like just give it away. Just give every store a stack of 50 or something.
People can get them whenever.
But yeah, I mean, who knows? That's
cool.
It
doesn't really matter. I just think that it's cool that he acknowledged that they're not going to wait for a supplemental set necessarily. He didn't guarantee that they're doing it in this set, but he did say there's no reason that we have to wait for a supplemental. We can, in a main set, presents the opportunity to release a new hero, a replacement hero for these classes that are missing them. So I think we
they've got all these promos scheduled for the 2023 release for Light Illusionist. So they got to get a Light Illusionist back out. So the promos are appealing.
Light Illusionist.
That's their 5-year plan. They showed up to presenting their 5-year plan, and someone was like, "Oh, it's 5 years." Yeah, Light Illusionist. I meant that for all 5 years, for sure. Yeah.
I wonder, they see that, or they did the classic where, so one of the first things they teach you in public speaking is the power of the pause. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
This idea of not always
we did
just
a whole TED Talk on it last week. If you guys missed it, go back, and me and Jason do a TED Talk on how to public speak.
Yeah, the power of pause. And I wonder if maybe that's what happened is whoever was doing the promos for 2023 walked into the meeting, they're like, so guys, 2023 OP starts. We start with Light Illusionist. Light Illusionist is our first hero. It's our promo. 2023's OP. They paused too long and someone's like, I love it. Light Illusionist, all of 2023, print it. Ship it. They went, okay, yeah, cool.
Sure, you love it.
And I had 30 minutes of promos lined up. We were going to do some cool stuff for other classes, but I don't know. Whoever's approving this stuff is a huge fan of Light Illusionist, so let's just run with it. Ship
some
it.
Cold foil mech items. I mean, that would be cool. No, cool. That's fine. No, it's really exciting to hear. I'm excited to see what they do with that. But looking at this set specifically, dude, I have no idea. I think that it would be really cool to see 4 heroes again, just melee. Because, I mean, that would, especially because he's talking about harkening back to that feeling from the first set. That would be kind of just like a cool callback, These are your 4 heroes. These are the 4. They could even just do like pitsified, like metricified, because do you think this set's just going to be pits or pits and metrics?
So far everything we've gotten information wise has been pits related,
right? That's what I'm wondering, like, is it going to be the same as like how everything we got information wise in Monarch, how like it started as just shadow stuff, like it was all shadow stuff that we got at first?
I mean I wouldn't hate it if it felt more split. I thought Monarch aesthetically was a really cool set because of that. In my opinion, I liked the light versus dark, like that
set. Yeah.
Right. That always feels appropriate. I mean, you spend most of your life in the fantasy world learning about light and dark and how light can be dark and dark can be light at times. And this offers us the opportunity to kind of have that feel of the pits is where all the bad stuff happens, and metrics is this like place, this shining city on a hill. They have maybe an opportunity to tell those cool stories of there are actually heroes in the pits and there are villains in metrics, and they can play that, good. Like what you see as the shining light is not always the positive good thing, and they have that. It's like such a cool opportunity to tell really cool stories with
even
metrics
more
in the pits.
even more so than in Monarch, because Monarch, like, it is pretty, like, if you're in the light, I think for the most part you're tied to good, but like not necessarily. Like if you're in metrics, I can think of off the top of my head some really great opportunities for some shitty people in metrics, some really great opportunities for great people in the pits. So
are you telling me that if something is financially and technologically advanced, it's not good? It's not like rich technology people are not the shining beacon of truth in our world?
They want you to think that they are.
Oh man.
Yeah. We're not going to get into that because that's a whole...
I just had a moment.
It's a whole deep thing. Yeah.
Deep Thoughts with Ted Handy. Was that his name? I feel like that's like a... Was that his... I can't remember. Now I want to look it up.
It's all... I got to look... Now Ted Handy is the only thing that can come to my brain.
Thoughts. I just remember Deep Thoughts stuff on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. I can't get Ted Handy out of my head.
Jack Handy.
I was like, that's got to be right. I was just like, that's got to be right. It was a simple name like that. That has to be it.
Right. And I said it so confidently that
my brain was like, he's right. That's what it is.
He's right. Yeah. He's 100% correct. It's like the fact that when somebody sent that picture in one of the group chats I was in of Outsiders poster, I immediately had to try to burn Bergie because the first words somebody was like, "What is this an alchemist?" Is this Bergie's like, "It's a mech." I was like, "Yeah, she's got goggles on. She's got to be a mech, man. If you put on goggles, you clearly work in technology and you build machines." It's like he goes, "Well, they have a flamethrower too," and I'm like, "Yeah, because you can't build a flamethrower out of hairspray and a lighter. Like what? Like." You're not exactly technologically advanced because you can make fire go whoosh. Like how is that like your argument for
mech?
It's a mech. Goggles, fire go boom. Here it is. Solved. It's a mech set based around fire. Solved it.
What if they did secondary like sidekicks or something? Like it was one main hero, but then you had to like choose your sidekick. And like it was like you could, it was like a businessman for metric side, right? Or how about like I can't fucking think of anything, but you've got like the blacksmith sidekick, and you've got like the courier side. You get all these different like sidekick that you choose, and that's what determines your deck. Sorry, I was still stuck on the whole like one thing, how to make that work.
Somebody actually pointed out that it would be a cool thematic 2 versus 1 to play like a hero versus the Emperor and Yoji, whether that's like one person.
So that concept, how having
2 half health heroes versus one full health hero.
That's what made me think of the whole 2 thing last set when we were talking about like before it actually released, what we were gonna see. Like, it was gonna be legal to run 2. Like certain, like if they're not young but they're just half health, you know what I mean, something like that,
right? They have like their names tied together or something. So I don't
interesting
to me.
Who knows?
Then there's the other big announcement that came out right before we recorded, which is, I always appreciate that. So I just want to tell LSS, we do appreciate if you could just release everything. I mean, Wednesday would be great because we do sometimes record on Wednesday. So if like midday Wednesday, you could get it to us, that, it just makes it easier for us recording. I know you have a lot going on.
Like we do, we get it to you really early, not Wednesday. We get not even Tuesday or Monday. Sometimes we get it to you the week prior on like Friday morning.
The week prior, we'll give it to you. We give you a full week. What are you complaining about? We need that. People come here for the hot topics and the newest, biggest information. We only talk about Flesh and Blood. We only talk about We're never off topic.
Blake wasn't here last week, so just ignore it. Just don't. No one say anything in the comments.
Yeah, well, it's funny enough. I told my wife, I was like, they named this episode the Seinfeld episode because they started the episode saying this is going to be the episode about nothing, and ironically, I laughed as I was reading the comments because everybody had the same thought, which was, wait, how is this different from the 111 episodes before this episode? What exactly is the thing that you're doing differently that makes this the Seinfeld episode? And every episode you've ever done has chaotic, nonsensical rants and pointless things.
The only way that Flesh and Blood got brought up in that episode was at the very end. Jason's like, I gotta say one thing. Flesh and Blood. We haven't said it this episode yet. And I was like, oh shit, we didn't even a little bit pretend. We didn't even pretend to set everything up to be within the realm of Flesh and Blood, but then deviate. We were just off the rails immediately.
I mean, we played Flesh and Blood or no, not Blood. It was something Blood last night. What did Blood Bowl. I played Blood Bowl last night. It was half of Flesh and Blood. I got half of the name and had a league game, so I had that. I was busy playing that. So Dane was also playing Flesh and Blood last night.
Yeah, Flesh and Blood Bowl. Last night we were playing Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we are just yet again diving in to another game. Oh, and I built my orcs for Modulorca.
Yeah, I'm curious if anybody else we dive very quick and very deep into things.
Got my guy with that. I got my boss guy. Got my boss guy.
Like it.
I hate orcs and they're aesthetic, but Blake and Jason are like, we're playing this orc game, and I was like, I've got sprues of orcs from box sets and shit. I'll just build those. Fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a game called Modulorca. It's a very simple rule set skirmish type orky game, but the guy that made it made a bunch of cool looking orcs that you could 3D print. And in classic fashion, if you can 3D print it, it makes our lives even easier because it brings the cost down even lower. So our affinity for playing everything that gets put in front of us is satisfied because we can keep playing it more and more.
Never be satisfied. It's ridiculous.
It is rather hilarious that we are obsessive about so many things. We have a podcast about Flesh and Blood. We decided that because Jason was like, oh hey, I bought the 2-player starter for Blood Bowl. Mace and I played a game. It's fun. Then instantly, before I ever played a game of Blood Bowl, I would like to point this out. This is how generate 3 of us are. If anybody has ever questioned it, Jason told us Blood Bowl was good. And he said, we should play sometime. And I was like, yeah, let's play. And instead of meeting Jason and playing Blood Bowl with the stuff he purchased, I drove to my local game store and I purchased a team.
Within a week of Jason sending that text, you had a team, I had a team, and I had Adam's team.
Yep. And we were already planning our league. We had our league. We were trying to figure out how to run a league.
Literally I think that we got together a week or two before the league started to play our first games. We're doing this because we just watched gameplay on YouTube and we're like, yep, cool, we're doing this for sure.
It's enough for me. Yeah, I just need to watch. I watched it on YouTube one time, so I'm sure it's good. I'm 100%. They seemed like they were having fun, so of course.
How many teams deep are we now? This was literally a year and a half ago. You have
6 teams.
6 teams. I only own 3. I've painted 5. We're doing okay.
We're on our league year number 2, the League of Mediocre Gentlemen. League year number 2, and all of us have considered the fact that there are places near us that are like, hey, we're hosting a Blood Bowl league, and it's like, I do have too many teams, and it would be nice to use some of these teams for something. So
I'm not doing that. I was assembling. We were watching Wednesday, which if you haven't watched it, it's really good. I like it a lot. Chelsea likes it a lot. We've been watching it.
Okay.
And
it looks good.
Yeah, we've been watching it, and I was assembling my orcs last night, and she was like, "What are these for?" And I was like, "Oh shit, Blake and Jason are going into this orc game, and I figured I've got these sprues of orcs. I'm gonna put them together." And she just like, how do they have the time? And I was like, I don't know. I don't even know if I'll end up playing this game. And she looked at me like, really? And I was like, yeah, no, you're right. I'll probably end up playing it, but I don't know when. And she's like, neither do I.
It was like the fact that we hadn't touched, all of us, right? My wife actually commented on it. We were talking about it, I don't know, a few weeks ago. We were talking about how I hadn't touched Marvel Crisis Protocol in 6 months at least.
The last time I played was when all three of us played that 3-way game.
Yes, yep.
That was like that was 9 months ago.
Okay, so it had been that long since I had played. Same. I hadn't played since. And Jason, I don't remember what it was. I think we saw one of the previews for something, and we got excited. And
was it when I sent like the Rhino preview, or was it?
You sent the Rhino thing, and we started talking about it more. And then they previewed Agent Venom. And
oh my
Jessica.
God! Yeah. And then last night I couldn't play my Blood Bowl game adjacent, and my brother wasn't there, so Jason couldn't play adjacent. So when you and Mason were playing, Jason's like, "Hey, I'm gonna bring a bunch of my Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff. Let's play that when they're playing Blood Bowl." And I was like, "Yup." Like, you want to go do karate in the garage? Yup. Like, so we sat down and we played that, and our game went way longer than your game. And last night, I think all of us were like putting together like actual rosters because we played it super wrong, and it was just like a refresher game. But yeah, now we've got like full rosters, and like, okay, this is my 10-man team, and these are my cards, and this is like I've been doing that shit all day.
Yeah, building strategies, because that makes sense. And all I know is today I had a moment where Jason, we were talking about it, and Jason was like, I have to go look at the banned and restricted list because if I'm gonna build it, it's got to be legal. And in my head, I thought,
as soon as you said that,
as soon as you said that, I was like, what difference does it make if it's illegal? If it's just the three of us, as long as we're all playing the same cards, what difference? Oh my God, Jason's going to end up making me play in a tournament. I just know, I know that I'm going to get a message in this group chat at some point in the next few months.
Hey, there's a tournament in South Dakota.
There's a tournament. Let's just go drive to Iowa and play in a tournament. Why not? It's like, I've never played an organized game of this. I've played you two. That's all I've played. But that's how it all starts for me, is I agree to play a game with my friends, and the next thing I know, someone goes, hey, we have a Blood Bowl league that we're starting at our store. And I'm like, I could play in 2 Blood Bowl leagues. Sure. Why not? I've only ever played with my friends, but
oh my God. Yeah, man. I'm really, really, really grateful for my degenerate friends. Like,
100%.
Life is so much more fun. I was thinking about that when I was driving around. I was like, sometime last week, I had the thought where I was like, my day-to-day life is so much more like just my empty brain space is just filled with like roster building and like looking into a new game. It's like I'm never bored when I'm driving because I can just YouTube up the newest game and like listen to these guys talk about how to play it. And it's like, cool, I'm learning a new game. It's like there's always something. There is always a thing.
Yep.
There's no downtime in like my hobby space, which is great.
I had that thought the other day when I was playing Marvel Snap. And I thought, most of the time when I play a phone game, I get bored really fast. Like I'll play a game on my phone and very quickly I'm not like Robert. I don't need to do the master level. I don't need to win it and like reach pinnacle status. I just want something to keep me busy when I'm bored. So I'll play something and then I get bored and I kind of move on rather quickly. And it's like, okay, what's the next thing I can do? And then I just won't play phone games for a while. And I just, I don't even know. But Marvel Snap has been different because between you and Robert and then Eric, my other buddy that plays, I went from the typical strategy idea of like, hey, we just talk about a random thing until we all get bored and fall off, to full deck building strategy and efficiency where I'm like, we're sending each other lists sometimes. We're like, oh, I love this card with this card combo. And I'm like, oh, I should try that in my deck. And all of a sudden I'm morphing my decks. And then it becomes this thing where everybody keeps telling me what level they are, what rank they are, and I'm, oh man, this is kind of now I'm not satisfied just casually playing this game. I want to do well because I can't get left behind.
Oh, what was it? It was like when they announced the collector's tokens, I was like, we need to reach 1,000 because you literally double your collector's tokens. Did you get that, by the way?
Yeah.
Nice.
Just barely.
Okay.
I held off. We were talking about it. Sarah and I were talking about it the one night because I said so. This is actually maybe the best part about Marvel Snap is my wife likes playing it. So she will talk like deck theory. She's like, I've been trying this card in this deck and I just don't like it. And we'll talk about why a card is like good or bad or like what are its deficiencies. And we'll talk about all that stuff. And she's like, you have to be loving this. I'm like, I kind of am. Like
I'm kind of here for this. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes this game so much more interesting that I could just talk about it all the time. And so it's funny because like I told her the same thing, and I'm like, we have to keep playing. We cannot stop. You can't go to bed until you reach level 1,000 because you're gonna lose tokens. So you can't go to. So like it was like an extra 45 minutes that night, sitting there with the office on in the background, just playing games, trying to get missions done. To the next mission, trying to find a way to get the next. Okay,
where's my next? Just like the brain space I have to like calculate my next pool of credits. Where does that lie, and how do I get there the fastest? Oh, it's in. I'm getting 200 credits when I reach level like the weekly pass or the season pass level 32 is like my next 300 credits. It's like, all right, how do I get there fastest? Okay, I can do my missions or just play games and hard grind it up. That's like, we're doing it. Next pool of credits, I'm getting those 6 levels because it's fucking. I like the slow burn of it too. It's fun.
Yeah, they've done a good job of making me just kind of itch for the next thing and not making it too easy, but also not making it impossible. Because typically the thing that makes me quit playing those games is that if I'm not willing to spend a bunch of money to buy things, it takes forever to do anything. And at that point, I have the attention span of somebody who grew up in a digital age, which is literally 0. So, especially with my phone, ironically, I can sit down and play Blood Bowl for like 2 or 3 hours and be completely satisfied with my experience. If you put me in front of my phone, it's like there's not an immediate gratification moment from playing this game. I'm just like, yep, I'm moving on. I'm going to find a different game to download, or I just won't play something. I'd rather not play something than feel like I need to take forever. Like I played Clash of Clans forever, and then it just felt like it took too long. It hit that point where it's like everything you upgrade, it's like this is a 9-hour upgrade. It's like, so I get on every.
Right now, I've got like 2-day upgrades. I just started playing Clash of Clans like a month ago, which is I played in the army and like my platoon was in a clan, right? And like we did that thing. Then I didn't play for like 6 years, and I got an ad for it, and I was like, shit, this is still a game. I wonder if my thing is like still, if I can still access like my base as it was and everything. And I couldn't, but I was like, I mean, might as well just click the buttons and like get it going.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a clan that's like, they're called like the Turd Burglars or something. I don't even know. I don't do anything with them. I just build my base. It's just like a mindless thing to do on my phone. It's like, oh, better just go and upgrade my shit. And I got like the black diamond walls and all that. I'm just doing it. Totally pointless.
I do a lot of that. A lot of that. It's just totally. But I think that's why I like Snap is because Snap feels like it's every time I play it. If I want to play it, I can just keep playing it. And if I get bored, I can kind of move on after I do my missions. But I can keep playing it kind of infinitely as I so choose.
And as you unlock cards too, like you get to like, this is just a Snap advertisement. But like as you unlock cards, like you're like, oh shit, I can totally like run this deck now. Oh my god, the other morning I Mystique came up in my collector shop and I got the 6,000 tokens. So I was like, these are the 6 cards I want. It's Sarah, Mystique, Cerebro, there's a couple I can't remember off the top of my head, but like I literally, Mystique came up in my shop, I bought her, and then I opened my next cache like 5 minutes later and it was Cerebro, and I was like, oh my god, I can build Cerebro now. It was wild. So Patriot is another one that I want to get, like,
because
I want to run my Ultron Patriot Mystique deck. But like
that's what I've been waiting for forever. That's like the deck that I want to play, is that because it has such a satisfying turn 3, 4,
it's really
5,
good
6
for 8 cubes because they're like what? Because it's like the Spanish Inquisition, man. No one ever expects the Ultron to drop and fill all the other locations.
Yep.
But no, I did. Oh my god! And like, there's just like fun decks you can build too. I love the game because if you don't care about the rank, like you can just fuck around too. Because like when I was at like 68 or something, I was like, I'm not gonna reach 70 because I've been bouncing around 65 to 68 for the last like 3 days. So I was just fucking around, and I got debris. So I just built this deck that's just like give the opponent tons of shit that they don't. And it's just, I'm giggling. Like I literally, like at one point, Chelsea was like, what are you laughing at? And I was like, I'm just fucking with these people. Like I'm just like Hood into Viper. It's like, you get that, and then a Green Goblin, and then a debris. It's like, you got all this shit. You don't know what to do. And I'm just giggling to myself like a madman. It's fun.
That's like I think everybody, if I've realized anything, it's that everybody kind of finds that deck that they just feel so much satisfaction when it does the perfect 3, 4, 5, 6 thing. It's like that. You find like this such a and you'll see the same thing over and over, but you're like, no, I'm so happy. My favorite thing to play is Ironheart, Wong, White Tiger, Odin. Those 4 cards in succession on a location, so that I can just fill the board with tigers and then just beef them up with Ironheart. It's so satisfying to me. That meanwhile, my Eric plays almost the same deck, but it's built around Thor. It's his Asgard deck where it's just play
he
Thor.
Wants to get Thor to triple digits, baby. That's
he's just trying to build a gigantic Thor and then like copy Thor or use things to like throw his. He said the other night, he was like, I got Thor and I've got Lockjaw, and then I play Mjolnir next to Lockjaw, and he puts it back into my deck and pulls another card, and then next turn I play Jane Foster and she gets my Mjolnir back, and then I do it again, and I'm just like, stuff like that when it just works and it cycles together. You're just like, oh, this feels so satisfying. You just keep doing it over and over, and then you get to come up with like your own moment where you're like, this is what this deck is to me. And he always calls like when people retreat, he always messages me, and he's like, every time, man, it makes me so sad. Get back here and feel the might of Asgard. And it's
I've
like
stopped snapping just because I want to play games out. I'm like, okay, cool. I've got the hand. Like I don't care if I only get a cube. I just want to do it. But that's what I was gonna say is like because I would say right next to Star Wars, probably same level. If I'm being honest, is Marvel, like in my psyche, like as far as like nostalgia from being a child and like being really into the comics, and like it's right there. But this game captures like those really cool moments by the location mechanic and stuff. And like, I'm really excited for Shatterpoint. We're going to lose our fucking minds on that. And like,
oh yeah,
like that's going to be wild when that drops. But
every time an ad pops up for a Shatterpoint, I'm just like, oh, exactly. I am never going to financially recover from this.
Yeah. I'm gonna come to Adepticon, man. They're doing the first release of that, and Chelsea and I are going into. We're submitting painting competitions. I actually just finished the green stuff on my Magneto, filling in the gaps and stuff.
Oh yeah,
sculpting it so that it doesn't have any mold lines and fill the gaps and all that.
That's such a cool model. I like that model a lot. Sweet.
I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing for my diorama because I don't want other people to take it, but it's been real fucking dope, and I'm really excited to like just invest hundreds of hours into this thing with Chelsea doing her thing. She's got a really cool idea too for Lord of the Rings. So
if I have 100 hours to invest in painting, I need to invest it into 100 different projects to try and just paint all the things, because maybe the most dangerous thing was finding a Patreon for Blood Bowl minis that I like, because now it's like, oh, now I have a team printed, and then next month another one is coming and I'm going to print that. It's like, wait, no, it's coming too fast. Now I have too many teams and I can't finish painting them before I print the next one. It's a dangerous.
Yeah, I'm done painting, or I'm done printing and buying Blood Bowl. If High Elves drop, I'll buy that team. But other than that, I've got 3 teams. Because I'm not selling my halfling team. Chelsea's painting that, and I'm gonna hold on to that just for nostalgia reasons. But I got my elves, I got my Norse, and got the halflings, and I need to catch up on MCP because I've got literally a shelf that I'm looking at that's got at least 30 printed or assembled models, that I need to paint.
Same. Yeah,
So
I have a bunch of those. I have them.
Behind.
Luckily, I've used it's a veteran technique I learned, which is you fall behind on a hobby. What you want to do is you want to hide it, so you don't have to look at it.
Squirrel it away.
Be shamed. Yeah, you can't be shamed by it. So I have mine in a box, but it has a lid, and then I have board games on top of it.
See,
so it's hard to get
if you do that though, that's how you go in to grab Orc Train, because you're like, something keys in your brain like, oh, Blake and Jason are playing this Orc game. I've got a box of Orc Train that I'm never going to use. And you go to grab it and you're like, oh, in this box, I also have 6 different Kill Team on sprues that I bought because they were on sale down in Kansas. Like, that I'm never. It's like, I don't need AdMech and like fucking all this other stuff, but I've got Orc. I got an Orc Kill Team. Cool. I can play modular Orca with these guys. And you just are like, oh my God, my shame goes so much deeper because I squirreled it away. I had no idea.
It's like the fact that I have a Wood Elf team that is still in the box that I bought, I don't know, 8 months ago, because it was on sale. It was on sale. I couldn't help myself.
I bought this box because eventually I'm going to want 4 receivers for my Pro Elf team. So I got to open that and build 2 more receivers. And then I've got a second Norse team, because why not? Why not have that?
Yeah,
too?
you got to have enough models. Everything you got to have plenty of it. Have plenty of it laying around.
So yeah, we got problems, but
to be fair, I do it with everything. So it's not just like a minis game. I also have a gigantic bench that I had to build to store stuff in my dining room, like a nice seated bench underneath a window, and one entire half of it, for reference for everybody, because I say bench, it is 6 feet wide. It's underneath a double window.
It's a nicely built, glorified like yard tool box that you would see next to someone's shed, but it's in his living, or it's in his kitchen.
It's a nice little, like, under the window seated bench. I framed it all out really nice. It's got, wainscoting on it that's like the ribbed board, the bead board, whatever. So it looks really nice. It's got a nice cushion on top. My dog likes to sit there when the windows are open and just let the fresh air. But then if you lift up the cushion, there's 2 handles to lift up. Inside of it, in this 6 foot long, 2 foot wide by 2 foot deep thing, is completely full to the point that nothing else can fit, where one entire side of it is just fab bulk. That's it. It doesn't have my decks. It doesn't have my binder, my trade binder. It doesn't have any of my super collectible stuff. That's all in my backpack, my deck box in my backpack, or in my safe. And then everything else is just left over there. And there are cards, again, for reference of how much I've just kind of squirreled it away. I have the BCW white 800 row, like single row 800 boxes. I have like 3 of those full of alpha first edition, like Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising cards that I don't even know what's in them. There are foils in there. There are, it's just all in a box because I just haven't sorted it. I have no reason to go back through it. So I do it with everything. It's not like I don't pick and choose my things to be obsessive about. I'm obsessive about everything. Oh man, man.
Anything to hit on for Flesh and Blood?
We probably should talk about the OP announcement, because they did announce.
Oh my God, we haven't talked about that yet. I thought that we did, and we didn't talk about it. All right, just run us through the changes. Run us through the change log of what's coming out in 2023 that's new.
So real quick, the positives, which I think are cool. They made the pledge that it was going to be a $1 million pro play circuit. They paid out $1,063,044. So they fulfilled their goal. It's cool. Always important to see that they hit their goals. They talked about Pathway in 2022 serving them well, so they're going to maintain that part of it, which I think is good. They kind of go over, if you look at the article, it'll tell you what they go over. They're reaffirming their commitment to another $1 million tour in 2023, where it'll be a minimum prize budget of the $1 million spread out over all of the events. So the big thing that they're changing, which I think some of it is really important, which is making sure that there's more lead time that was definitely something that people weren't happy about. And then sequence of how things happened, where it would be like a major event would happen and then the next month a set would come out, and it just felt bad having those kind of flip-flopped. So this year their big thing is 2023 is going to be 3 major seasons. March to June will be the Outsiders standalone set. Pinnacle event will be the Pro Tour, and the seasonal programs will be Road to Nationals and Skirmish Season 6. Those are going to be that. July to September will be an expansion set. So it looks like we're going to get standalone, expansion, standalone this year. An expansion set with national championships being the Pinnacle and Skirmish Season 7 being the seasonal programming. And then October through January will be their standalone set with the Pinnacle event being World Championships and ProQuest being the seasonal. And then they said there's only going to be one Pro Tour event this year, which will be hosted in the U.S. in late April or early May, which is pretty significant because last year they ran 2, and everyone, I think, was expecting 2 Pro Tours. But they did point out that they're going to be combining the prize pool. So instead of 2 $100,000 prize pools, it'll be 1 $200,000 prize pool. So I think the big thing is they talked about they feel like the travel became a burden and a barrier that some people couldn't make to participate in those events, and they don't want to feel like they aren't getting the best players because there were too many events and too much travel. Is what he explains in here. The other changes are the number of players callings will be like tiered, basically. So up to 300 players will be a $10,000 prize pool. 300 to 600 will be a $20,000, and if they think that there's going to be over 600, it'll be a $30,000 prize pool. But they are kind of pre-planning that, so it's going to be estimated, and they'll err on the side of caution, saying they'll always err on the larger prize pool. The other 2, or they had the last 3 things, but they were all kind of like quick, and they're just making a lot of sense. Is the time to prepare after release? They're going to try to give people more lead time, so a minimum of 2 weeks between the release of a set and any sort of seasonal program that's coming.
And that's not the lead time that you were talking about earlier. That lead time earlier, when you mentioned it, was talking about like the announcement of the events and how much time people had to like plan for travel. So that's a different, just to clarify.
Yep. Just kind of breaking up. They're going to give more lead time on events, and they're also going to give a little more lead time for
set release,
the window between the set release. The other thing, which I thought was the last 2 things, I think are proof of just how well they're listening to things that really matter. And I think some companies wouldn't necessarily care because overall everything seemed to be a hit and resoundingly positive from last year. A couple little things that seem to be emphasized by a lot of people is that they heard that a seasonal program was just becoming relentless. And people were just worn out by the end of the year, which I think was exemplified how much it was wearing on people, that so many players kind of announced that they were, hey, I'm taking a break. I haven't played, or people now are saying, hey, I haven't played in a month and a half, and I'm just playing my first games of Flesh and Blood back, and it's nice. So they're talking about just trying to spread things out across 3 seasons and making them be things like making Skirmish, ProQuest, and Road to Nationals be 3 weeks instead of 4 weeks, to just add an extra week here and there. And then the last thing was they talked about how great of an experience the Pro Tours and the World Championship was. But while they won't go into detail, they do care deeply about the quality of experience of their marquee events. So they're learning, investing, and trying to create a better experience this year.
Cool.
So I do think that one is another one that's pretty significant, just in terms of overall. I don't think that actually financially, like the negative experience that people had was very minimal. Overall, it was about little things. It was like access to play mats, maybe the
prizing,
how things, the prizing
prize
and things
wall,
like that.
stuff like that. It was like a little bit lackluster at some events. Like,
interactions with people were maybe not the best, and some of those things could be better. And I think the fact that they acknowledge it and say that he's like, I'm not going to talk about it, like we're not actually going to go into detail on what those things are, but we do acknowledge that people have given us a lot of valid feedback and it's helpful and we want to do better. Just continues to prove that as a company, we talked about that the other day. It's hard to ever imagine investing any amount of money, time, or energy like we have into a game the way that we love Flesh and Blood. And even through times where maybe you're not happy with the game, whether that's the Starvo meta or you just don't have the time for it, you're still always drawn back to it. A lot of it feels like it's just because the game has always feels like you have a good connection with the game. Because they listen and they're growing and they're learning. It feels like an actual living company,
right? Yeah.
Versus
like consistent like feedback and being told that you're listened to, and it's like, is this a healthy relation? Is this what a healthy relationship feels like? Like, because this is kind of nice.
Yeah, man. I wish every relationship in my life was like. I wish. Wait, are my friends supposed to listen? No, I'm.
Don't get crazy.
Is this what healthy personal relationships are like? Should I try to work at a job where people listen to me and value my feet? No, that can't be real. It doesn't exist in life.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't. I don't have anything else.
I don't think I have anything else either.
Cool. Well, thanks for sticking with us through the non-Flesh and Blood related content. I know that's probably unneeded now at this point in the podcast, but appreciate it. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Yeah.
Peace.
See you.